welcome to Vegetology. Today we are going to make some delicious vegan raspberry and oat muffins. So I've got everything out and I'm going to take you through all the ingredients as I put them together. This makes around 15 muffins, but the first thing we need to do before we do anything else is we need to make an egg replacement, because it takes a couple of minutes just for it to absorb and make our egg replacement. So I've got golden flaxseed here, but as you can see, it's not ground and I need some ground flaxseed. So all I've done is I've weighed out 15 grams and I've put them in my food processor so that it's made ground flaxseed. So if you can't find already ground in the shops, just buy them whole and just almost mill them yourself. Okay, so I've got 15 grams of ground flaxseed and then I need 3 tablespoons of hot water. Now you need to set this aside for 10 minutes. And that's just to let that water absorb into the flaxseed, and that gives us the equivalent of 1 egg. Okay, so set that aside. Okay, so I've got all of my dried ingredients here. The first thing I'm going to use is some wholemeal flour. I don't need to worry about sifting this flour because it's wholemeal, it's meant to have little bits in it. So I need 250 grams of wholemeal flour to 80 grams of rolled oats. Okay, so I like to buy jumbo oats. I just prefer them. I don't like the really small oats. You can keep a couple to the side or you can put a couple extra, and that's just to scatter on top at the end. Now to that, I need 100 grams of light brown sugar. I'm gonna mix all this together afterwards, don't worry. Okay, there we go, 100 grams of light brown sugar. To that, I need a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. 1 teaspoon. Oh no, I thought it could fit in the neck then, but it can't. So just be careful when you're doing it this way that it doesn't all fly out at you. Okay, a teaspoon there of ground cinnamon. And then I'm gonna use a tablespoon of baking powder. So that is quite a lot. Okay, so a tablespoon. Get a whole tablespoon in there. There we go. Okay, now I'm just going to give this a little mix around. Get it all nicely mixed. And then in a separate bowl, we're going to get all of our wet ingredients together. You can smell the cinnamon, it smells lovely. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. Okay, so I'm now going to get all of my wet ingredients ready. So I've got 2 bananas and I'm going to chop these into my bowl and then I'm going to mash them up. Okay, so I've got my 2 mashed bananas there. Now to this, I'm going to add the rest of my wet ingredients. So you can use almond milk or you can use oat milk. I'm going to use oat milk for this. And I'm going to need 200 ml. Okay, so 200 ml of oat milk or almond milk. Oh, 199. If I put any more in, I know I'll go way over. And then sunflower oil or vegetable oil, 60 ml. Yep, 60 ml of this. There we go. 61, that's absolutely fine. Counterbalances my oat milk. And then I'm going to have 40 grams of very soft butter and a teaspoon of vanilla extract. So I'll do my vanilla extract first. It's my teaspoon. And then my butter is really soft, but obviously it's not liquid. And this is the Flora plant-based butter that I'm using. So I've got 40 grams here. So I'm just going to chop it up and pop it in. Okay, just pop that in the bin. Now, the last wet ingredients that I'm going to add into this is going to be that ground flaxseed with the hot water, which has made us a flax egg. Okay, so you can see now that's all absorbed in. That is our egg replacement there, and I'm gonna add that in. Okay, now, I'm just gonna take a minute to whisk this together, okay? So obviously start slowly because you don't want it to spray up out at you, but you wanna get this nice and evenly mixed, okay? So just give it a minute and mix it. Okay, so I have been whisking that for about a minute. If you find that you still feel like it's lumpy, you can pop it into like a food processor, or you know, if you've got one of those, like a handheld blender, pop it in there just for a minute, just to smooth it out. Okay, so I've got all my wet ingredients and all my dry. So I'm gonna fold through. You can either put your dry into your wet or your wet into your dry. In this instance, my bowl is bigger for my dry ingredients, so I'm actually gonna do it that way around. So I'm gonna pour all of that wet into my dry. And then just fold it through. Making sure you scoop up all of the dry bits and get them all covered. So you end up with quite a nice paste. And the last thing that we're going to add to this is our raspberries. Now, I like to use frozen raspberries because I feel like they hold their shape a bit better. You can use fresh though, if you like. Okay, so that's all mixed in. So I've got 125 grams of frozen raspberries. The only thing you might want to do is if they're a little bit stuck together, just separate them. Okay. Some are in little bits anyway, and some are whole, but it's quite nice to have the mix. I love how raspberries look when you're baking, how nice and bright they are. So get that all well mixed in. Okay, like I said, this should make around, well, 12 to 15. 15 if you're on the slightly more cautious side, 12 if you're on the extra generous size with your portions. Okay, so I've got that all mixed in there. Now I'm going to bring in my trays that are lined with my cases. Okay, so I might not make all 15, but let's have a go. So I'm gonna get a tablespoon and just push off with the back of a teaspoon. And I put about a tablespoon, like a heaped tablespoon, in each one. And then I know I'm putting about the same amount in. Okay, so that's done 15 easily. I've actually topped up on some of the cases extra. Now you can smooth them down if you like, but to be honest, you don't really need to bother. Now all I do now is I get a couple of oats, just pop some in one in a clean hand, and just sprinkle a few oats on top of each, so you get that nice oaty finish on the top. It's probably only the equivalent of about a tablespoon of oats, to be honest. Always go back and put extra on some if you want to. Okay, so these are going to go into my preheated oven that's heated at 170 in a fan oven, and these are going to go in for about 20 to 25 minutes at the max. Okay, so I'll check them after 20, stick a knife in and see how clean it comes out. If it's still very gooey, we'll give them a couple more minutes. So here we have our vegan raspberry and oat muffins. They've been out of the oven for about 15 to 20 minutes before I've transferred them onto the cooling wire. They still feel quite warm underneath. They smell lovely. So that is them finished, and I'm just going to break one open for you to see. Oh, they look so nice. So we've got the raspberries quite nicely distributed. The wholemeal flour you can see with the colour. They're absolutely gorgeous. So I hope you enjoy having a go at these. I'll do a taste test. They taste delicious. If you have a go at these, we'd love to know, and you can drop some comments in the box below. I hope you enjoy making these raspberry and oat muffins.